Hello,
Welcome
hello.
to
Hello, hello.
Best Overall Show, episode 11. And I'm Joe, and I'm
Ah,
joined with Kazra
howdy.
and JT McDowell from On Tabletop.
Howdy, howdy, everybody.
And we are talking about our experience at Charity Hammer this last weekend, which was pretty wild.
Absolutely. I don't know about you guys, but I'm still a little tired.
Yes, as far as hobby stuff goes, I have unpacked my army, and that's it.
You're ahead of me, mate. You've done more than I have.
I haven't even done that, and I actually have a league game as soon as we wrap this up that I have to go run to.
Holy cow! Back to back to back.
It's what is it, like the 13th of Blurns Day? Like I have no idea what's going on anymore.
I even had the conversation with my boss. Luckily she was doing her own fundraiser thing this week, so she was like super understanding. I'm like, I'm running at about 10% battery this week. It's one of those weeks. I forgot, I'm just gonna throw this out there. Nobody on this call or on this show is young, and
Your story.
and we have all, we've all had our long nights, our all-nighters and whatnot. I don't physically think I should be pulling them, but you know what? We pulled them for a good cause, folks.
That's true. That is definitely something for the youngsters in the
Yeah,
group.
definitely. The 3 a.m. games of Warhammer, let me tell you, that was
Oh my
something else.
gosh.
I was scheduled for one and then got out of it because I won my GT game, so then I'd have to play immediately after it. So
Well played, sir.
I got
Well
the old man courtesy reschedule.
I had the ignominy of actually snoring in the background on the War Games live stream. I fell asleep in the garage.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. We had War Games Live there streaming the whole time, and there were members of Art of War and Team USA. Were there any Team Canada members? Is Alex on Team Canada? Okay.
No.
Okay.
Team Canada ends at basically Manitoba.
Ah, okay.
Although I know I've spoken to Jeremy, there is intention to make it a little bit more inclusive. So who knows?
Okay.
Who knows about this here?
I think we should do a Canada West and just have a duel of the fates somewhere in the middle of Canada. That'd be cool.
I could support that.
Yeah.
No Noah tonight. He had a family obligation, so thankfully JT stepped in to cover for him. And he is a returning Charity Hammer veteran. Kaz and I are both new
First timers.
Yeah, first timers. That was actually the first time I ever traveled with my army, so that was an interesting.
Oh wow!
Experience. Yeah.
So how many things broke, Joe?
Yeah. So on my way to going through TSA at the airport in Detroit, I was super nervous because I knew they were gonna be questioning me about my bag because there's all these magnets in it and everything, and it's gonna pop up, and then it's going through the X-ray machine, and then I just see this like red light flash, and then I'm like, oh, here we go, and then the guy goes, oh, it's stuck in there, and he reaches in and just starts reefing on my bag as hard as he can. He's like, I can't get it. Put a heavier suitcase through to knock it loose.
Oh no!
So that was a nightmare unfolding before my eyes.
I feel so bad because I was like aggressively reassuring you because I've traveled with my army a ton. Like I fly with my display. I didn't even drive the display down, but I fly with my display, and I've had the odd thing happen, but generally the army's been fine. So I feel like I lied to you, Joe, accidentally.
Oh, yeah, that was all right. The battle foam held up pretty good. I just had about 5 or 6 things break, and then other than that, and then waiting 2 hours at the rental car place after I got there was awesome.
Oh, that was rough. Yeah, I remember you talking about that. Oof.
Yeah, it was good times. But got there and everything was great. I legitimately believe that was probably the most fun I've ever played having Warhammer. So that was a really cool experience.
Yeah, it's tough to top that. Charity Hammer has not only some of the best players in the world, but some of the best players' attitudes in the world. And you have to be a great player and a great person to be able to look at somebody at 3 o'clock in the morning on no sleep and not be a complete knob at the table. Like you have to have some concept of what's okay. And yeah, that's one of my favorite parts about Charity Hammer and the whole experience.
Oh, that's spot on, JT. And I mean, when you are having those games, it is so nice to just know that your opponent's intent is good. You know, like there was times where I'd forget something, or my opponent would forget something, but it was you could just know that none of it was malicious. It was such a good example of sportsmanship, and it was really, really cool to be a part of.
And as far as the fundraiser goes, I believe we smashed the goal of 40,000. I'm not sure what the final number
we got
was.
Close to 48 is what it was, just over 47, which is outstanding. And again, just wanted to say personally from all of us here, like, thank you all for supporting, because that's Charity Hammer is nothing without the people that are donating and donating to a good cause in Child's Play. So again, thank you all from the bottom of my heart.
Yeah, from all of us. It was amazing.
Yeah, when we see those numbers rolling in, it just makes it worth it, because we're really knocking ourselves out. And even if you've donated once, or you donated twice, or you didn't donate at all, you shared it and you got more eyes on it, and that got more donations. You'd be surprised how many family members go, "Oh, they're doing a cool thing, I'll send $20." And every bit counted. And it was so overwhelming to realize that we'd smashed the goal that we wanted before we hit the finals. And that was really cool. I was really excited for that. And it just kind of, honestly, seeing those numbers kind of boosted the adrenaline and carried us through. I crashed somewhere
because we were dead before.
Oh, we were dead. We were all dead. Like, I swear, I don't even know what planet I was on by the end of it.
One of the days, I got there at like 6 because I didn't like adjust my jet lag at all, so that'd be like 9 o'clock in the morning for me, and you guys were just sitting on the couch looking half dead. I was like, okay, glad I didn't stay up all night.
Yeah, yep. That sounds about right. So I will say, like, that at that point the days were all blurring together, but really, like, there was a few different things happening, which is, again, when you look back on it, realize how sleep deprived everybody is. It's kind of a feat of organization, because we had the GT, we had the team matchup, the team round, we had individual exhibition games going on left, right, and center. Am I missing anything?
Oh, and off-stream games going too.
Yes. Off-stream games going. Yeah, you go to use the restroom and you like go into the pool house and there's all these tables and guys going. Warhammer everywhere. It's amazing.
That was super cool.
So out of those different pieces, what was kind of the favorite? JT, what was your favorite part of the gaming side of it? I mean, obviously, I think it's fair to say for all of us, the fact that we raised $48,000, amazing. But from a gaming perspective, what was your favorite?
You know, it's tough, because every game I played was fun with amazing opponents. So it's hard to nail one game as great. But I think overall, just the fact you touched on a little bit that the intent was always positive. At no time did I play a game or make a decision or do something that I thought, oh, my opponent's going to take advantage of that. Like, it was literally everybody wanted to make the best possible content we could. So if you were making an obvious mistake, your opponents were reminding you. Now, at top level tournament play, you shouldn't really expect that, nor do you really give that out. I mean, depending on the game, sure, but if somebody's going to make a mistake, you don't interrupt him while he's doing it. Not a Charity Hammer. You know, guys are like, just so you know, I can do this and this and this, and you're like, oh, I didn't know that. So Thank you. I won't do that incredibly stupid maneuver now. Because we're all sleep deprived. We don't know what like, I don't even remember if I put proper underwear on. Like, I'm really lost. Totally. I have no clue what was going on. But I think that for me, that was that sense of camaraderie, and we're all here for a purpose. that was my favorite
Yeah.
part. Just Colin put together an amazing group of human beings, and he needs to be thanked and he needs to be applauded for that, because he really has curated an amazing group.
Yeah, it is his superpower, it seems. He's done a really good job. You're right. Awesome. Thanks, JT. What about you, Joe?
Yeah, that was like a 40K boot camp for me, just because everybody there was just a stud. So, yeah, every single game I played felt like a top table game. So, that was
Yeah, that's a really good point. You know, you go to a GT, you might have 2 games that end up at that level, right? You kind of have to earn your way to those games. But yeah, Charity Hammer, even a 3 a.m. exhibition game is like, wow, this is, top table at a GT kind of game.
Yeah. And what about you, bro?
Well, I think it was, it's tough to say. I mean, the team tournament was hilarious because I got to play the second game in a row against Scott the Winter Wilkie, who is an absolute champion. And like, he beat me in the first game, and I was beating him pretty hard in the second game. And he looked at me and he said, "Cass, I just gotta believe." And then he did what orcs do sometimes, and he just rolled all the 5s and 6s, and these 3 flash kits, like, shoot up a dreadnought, run across the board, and punch it to death on an objective, and it like swung the game so hard that it ended up being just the right amount of points to tie the entire team tournament. I couldn't help but cheer for his orcs at that point. Like, I mean, we're so exhausted. I have literally been playing this gentleman for 6 hours. I'm pretty sure like getting close to midnight. Reality is ebbing and flowing. I am not really there. It was hilarious. So, like, moments like that. And then, speaking of getting my teeth kicked in by orcs, Joe and I got to play a game, which was awesome. And
we're gonna go over that later.
And we're gonna go over that later. So that was great. But I think selfishly, I gotta say, winning best overall at Charity Hammer my first year out was just like, I mean, Colin was kind of announcing it, and like, I had to fight back the tears. It was a real nice thing to kind of be awarded. And you know, I'm glad one of us got it, Joe. Like, if it was going to be anyone, I wanted it to be within the best overall family. So really happy that I was able to do that.
Congratulations, brother.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, that was really cool. Should mention Scott DeWinter Wilkie, what a hero. Stepped up to play the team tournament when Chuck couldn't make it on like no notice. By the way, he's like, "Oh, okay." And played like 12 games over the course of the
like
weekend.
An absolute rock star, and very well deserved. He was best sportsman. And
absolutely.
I couldn't, and like, honestly, he was the person I played the most. It was twice back to back, and I drove him home after that. And I gotta say, like, there's not many people who I can play 6 hours of Warhammer against and then happily drive home and have a joyous car ride. Like,
right.
It was great. So, Scott, you're a gem, and it was an absolute pleasure. That's all I got to say about that.
All right.
Oh no. So this match was the wine and cheese match with my lovely dear friend Ben Jurek. You might know him. You might have heard his name. He wins a lot of Warhammer tournaments. And, you know, don't let the sweet smile and demeanor fool you. He is a stone cold killer. And we had an absolutely fun time while Ben just ripped me apart on stream. And, you know, I got to say, it was one of those games that you're getting so destroyed, but you're learning so much from in the wreckage of your game. Had a lot of fun, learned a lot, so that was a good time.
Yeah. And what type of vintage were we sipping on there?
I don't even remember. My girlfriend picked it. I took a photo of all of the dessert wines, and she picked one. It was delightful, though. It was a lovely white dessert wine. Too. The cheese was good. That I can talk about. That I chose. We had a camembert, we had a brie, and a really nice smoked Gouda. What a spread!
Wow. I didn't realize Kaz was a cheese aficionado.
I don't know if you saw the belly, but see, Joe. So yeah, this was, a snapshot of my army. Unfortunately, I didn't get past battle ready for some of the things in this picture. You can see it's the Ballistus Dread that I just realized like a week before Charity Hammer. Wow, this thing's great. So started painting up like a madman, but got it close, but not quite there.
Do you want to touch on aggressors for a hot second? Because I feel like this was a theme throughout most of the weekend.
Throughout most of the weekend and throughout every Space Marine Gladius Detachment army, you are going to see on the battlefield. So, for those that don't know the combination, which at this point probably isn't many people, but we'll give you the benefit of the doubt. What you do is you take aggressors with Boltstorm Gauntlets, you take an Apothecary Biologus, and you give him Bolter Discipline. Anything else you add is just spice and flavor. I like to pair that with a fine Marnius Calgar and 2 Victrix Honor. But that unit also goes really well with, say, Uriel Ventress's ability to Deep Strike. So you get this murder unit that just comes in and rolls a bucket of dice, and you're shooting at the Oath of Moment target. You're hitting on 5s, but every 5 is a crit because of Bolter Discipline. You make sure they're in the right doctrine naturally. So you roll this bucket of dice, you get a bunch of 5s. You pick up everything that isn't a 5, you roll it again. And that will kill most things in the game. And it's just obscene.
I can attest to that. The amount of squig hog blood and meat splattered all over the ruins. Yeah. There were a lot of dead pigs from aggressors.
Now, Joe, why don't you tell the lovely folks at home what a very effective way of neutering that unit is?
Turns out if you run a Beast Boss on Squigosaur up to the unit and then epic challenge that poon bag of an Apothecary, hunt him into orbit, they're a lot less effective.
Yeah, no, they did not do as much work without. I mean, there's still no slouches with Calgar especially, but
they still destroyed him in melee afterwards, but it was a worthy sacrifice.
Yes, I think so. Now this is the beautiful. So we had the bluest overall matchup, and Joe, I just gotta say, seeing your blues and the reds on the squigs in person, like that contrast just made me so happy.
Yeah, thank you. This was a pig.list, and it is extremely subtle and refined in how it deploys, which is completely on the line. Very nuanced. Yeah. JT, you want to talk about your list real quick?
I don't think I took any pictures of it because I'm a technological Luddite and couldn't figure it out, or I was so tired I just didn't bother. I ran my Drukhari because I'm nuts and I love them. And I had some jank and some shenanigans in there. The triple Ravager is kind of a state. I mean, if you're going to play Drukhari, you need the triple Ravager. 2 squads of deep striking Scourges, some Mandrakes for shenanigans, 3 squads of 2 Talos with Haywire and Flamers, and then 2 separate Chronos, Archon with his friends to get all the guns and the Venoms to jump them out. And that's pretty much 5 racks and a homunculus to camp. My list is all about movement shenanigans and trying to get away from you and score points wherever I can as quickly as I can, because I do not have the capability to stick around for 5 turns. Even at T9 on the Ravagers, when aggressors drop down and target it just evaporates. There's nothing you can do about it. There's been jokes about Codex Darklance, and yeah, there's something to be said for that. But quite frankly, Haywire on the Talos are incredibly effective. Talos are not a combat unit anymore. They're a shooting unit. 2 Talos at 180 points are about the equivalent of a Redemptor Dreadnought as far as output goes. But the Dreadnought murders them in combat. Shooting, though, if I'm empowered, I'm hitting you on 4s, I'm re-rolling the hit, and I'm twin-link anti-vehicle 4-up for flat 3. It's gross. That's where they do the most work. Yeah, so the magic in that is about killing something with Talos to keep them empowered for the rest of the game. There's a lot of finickiness. I really love playing it. The problem with it, though, is the reroll the hit mechanic makes it take a long time to play. So it really is, you've got to be really, really mindful of that. It's just about juking and dodging and trying to stay out of range of your opponent, because unfortunately there's really no combat elements in Drukhari anymore. I just melt.
No.
Wow.
Like they just melt. Even Telos, they hit on 4s at strength 8 for flat 3 damage with their best close combat weapon.
Jeez, is that the gauntlets?
That's the gauntlet. Yeah, it's AP2 flat 3, 5 attacks each, so 10 attacks from 2, but still hitting on 4s. And with the way I roll, I need them to be empowered.
Can we pause and talk about the way you roll? So I think it was the GT game, JT,
It was.
that we were playing. I don't remember who went first. It was on the Wargames live stream. And Bulldog RC Wargaming live stream allowed us to watch the best Warhammer experience in a long time. Thank you for watching.
Absolutely.
So seriously. But yeah, we were on the Wargames live stream. Again, time is just a construct at this point. I have no idea where we are in the weekend, but I just remember, JT, I had my dreadnoughts in cover. I had my little castle built, and you realized it was your go turn. Let's talk about your go turn a little bit.
It went nowhere.
Absolutely nowhere. I've not seen dice do that before.
I could hit him, kind of, but then I couldn't wound him. I mean, I'm wounding on 3s and 4s. I threw, what did it work out to? It was something ridiculous, like 17 Dark Lances at Dreadnoughts, and I didn't kill any.
I think Dreadnought. I think you just shot one.
I did not kill a Dreadnought with 8 Haywire guns, 27 Dark Lances, Heat Lances on my Reaver jet bikes. Forgot about those. Oops. I didn't kill a Dreadnought until the 3rd turn.
Yeah. Your dice decided that I was winning that game.
But this is how my dice work. I have proof. It's on stream. I've said this before. If I didn't have to roll, I'd be a world champion. It's funny. So lists I build have like minimal interaction if I can get away with it, because I know I'm not. This is what's going to happen. The built-in rerolls are great, but I still couldn't roll the hit. You know, hitting on 4s statistically with rerolls is like a 92% or something ridiculous. Tell that to my dice.
Yeah. No, and like
says, don't blame dice, but dude, like, come on.
No, I can blame your dice for that one. You know what? And like, listen, I don't roll particularly hot on my first rolls. It's why I play reroll based armies, but the first go never goes well for me. But man, yeah, that was truly something. I almost felt bad.
Oh,
I didn't.
Never feel bad.
Because I definitely was like, okay, well, I'm rapid aggressing, and I think my aggressors like killed half your army in that next turn.
Back corner. There was a back.
I was really just trying to motivate your dice. Is really what I was doing.
Didn't work. Didn't work.
Yeah, Sam. Yeah, 4-up with rerolls should be 75% at least, and that was not what we were seeing, friend.
It was crazy. Even the Haywire guns, Twin Link Haywire, anti-vehicle 4+, and I'm not wounding you.
That is statistically improbable.
Welcome to my world. I'm okay with it.
JT, if you could be one Drukhari unit, what would you be?
If I could be?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I already know. I am a homunculus.
Oh, I was hoping you were going to say that. If you could turn one co-host on the show into a grotesque, who would it be?
Oh, geez. See, I got to be honest here. Joe, I don't think I could do Cas. He doesn't have the guts to be a grotesque. But both, you and Noah both have a background that would make a really good grotesque. And he's not here, so I feel bad calling him out. So Joe, I'm gonna have to go with you.
All right, you heard it here. Noah is on the short list to be a grotesque.
Yes, I mean, purely based on just like oomph, like that's who I want fighting my fights. So yeah, I would go Noah too.
Yeah, the guy's got just boundless energy. It's kind of ridiculous.
Fantastic.
It's fun to watch, man. Like seriously. But then wait till he gets to be my age, and we'll see how he slows down, if at all.
Ooh.
I don't know that there is any brakes on that train. You know what I mean?
No, that diesel ain't stopping for nothing, man. He's a force of nature, and I love him to death. Absolutely love him to death.
Oh man.
Very good. And yes, Ryan, Doomsday Arcs were just as dangerous to pigs as the aggressors. And incidentally, Castigator tanks from the Sisters of Battle.
Oh my gosh, I hate them so much.
Wow.
Shout out to Jesse
I
for being a wonderful human being.
Wow. I got slaughtered by Jesse and Sisters, so probably the worst game of 10th I've played. It was amazing.
Joe, let's double click on that. Sisters winning isn't something you hear about. And like Joe, you are a phenomenal general. You did wipe the floor with me. And you know your army, you know it well. What happened with Sisters? How are Sisters of Battle fighting orcs?
Apparently, they just have all the weapon profiles to massacre greenskins because the two tanks, each one obliterated a whole squad of Squighog boys on the top of one. And then he did the incredibly ungentlemanly move of shooting his exorcist at my lone weird boy. Which is just rude and uncalled for. But wow.
You know what? It's funny. Actually, yeah, no, Sisters into orcs, because their low strength weapons don't really matter against you because you don't have a ton of high toughness stuff.
No.
Strength 9 Melta is actually really good against you.
It wasn't even the Meltas. It was the autocannons and the exorcists were just picking my dudes up. It was terrible. I'd get a quarter way up the board, and then that whole line would just get wiped off, and then I'd just do the next turn, same thing, and then by turn 3, I had no army left to speak of. It's terrible.
I feel
Those
that.
poor pigs. All right, Kaz, this is your game versus Scott. How many times did you play? Yeah, the one on stream, because that's what I stole the slides from.
Which one?
What?
So,
how many times did you play orcs this weekend?
3 times. My last 3 games of Charity Hammer were against orcs. Wow. You were my end cap, and then before that, I played Scott twice.
Okay. So what was going on this game?
I can't remember, Joe.
Okay.
I think, if I remember correctly, this would have been the first game that I played. Yeah, this was the first game that I played against Scott. So I'm not going to give you a play-by-play because I don't remember, to be honest with you. Because at this point, I'm running on, 4 hours of sleep for 2 days. But I will say this. Scotty did an excellent job this game, and I did get walloped. The thing that I realize is with the aggressor break, my key sort of shenanigan that I had in my list was I took Uriel Ventress. I had Marnius Calgar in that unit. That unit was going to have to do some serious damage. And in this one, Scotty, I think I took out one of his Squigog units. But then this was the game that I learned what flash kids do.
Ooh.
Yeah, I won't forget that lesson. So a lot of pain happened this game because of those flash kits, and they just deleted that aggressor unit, and yeah, playing down with that.
The flash kits deleted the aggressors.
Yes, chef. Absolutely.
Wow, that's insane. Were they?
Let me just say,
not in cover, I'm assuming.
I think I was in cover, but when you roll that many 5s and 6s, and I am an excellent roller of 1s and 2s. Let me just tell you. And I think it took a turn to chip away my Victrix. But once they were gone, the unit was kaput. So I'm going to spare everyone the play-by-play, but I will just say Scott played an excellent game here, and really. Yeah, those flash kids. Look, the aggressors are gone. The aggressors are long gone. And at this point, I'm banking on those 2-up redemptors. And yeah, I roll a lot of 3s when things are AP. The AP pushes me up to a 4-up. I roll a lot of 2s when I need 3s.
Ow.
It's hilarious. But honestly, that was just really well played by Scott. Orcs are not an army that you can sleep on. So I will say, I learned to respect the Green Tide a little bit at this event.
Okay. My game 1 of the GT versus Colin. Dark Angels. Yeah. Oh baby.
Oh, maybe it's
So
right.
I did a little research before this, and I realized I am not going to be able to kill a single thing in this army, and that's kind of how it went. So this was on corner deployments. Yeah, and I took fixed secondaries the whole tournament, except for my game against Cas, because people were shaming me for
I
doing
wasn't,
so.
for the record. For the record.
But yeah.
That's funny. I don't know why that's funny. It's just killing me.
But yeah, so Colin had Deathwing Knights, he had the Aggressors, he had 2 or 3 Dreadnoughts and a Land Raider and some regular Marines, and they were bombing around. All right, so as you can see on the screen here, Pig dot list deployed on the line as it tends to do. I got first turn, and I was like, "This is my chance, boys. Let's get in there." Wog on turn 1. Boom. That went through.
Wow.
I did absolutely 0 damage to the Terminators, and took the midboard. I did keep him off the objectives. This is a key point though.
Yeah.
So I got up on primary real fast, and as soon as the aggressors are in his ruin here, with the black dice on top of it, as soon as they came outside, pig meat just started splattering all over every corner of this little imperial village.
Oh no,
Wow.
not the pig meat.
Yeah. Yeah, not too much exciting happened here. I just was pushing forward, losing everything I have. This is the second to last turn. I stayed up on primary pretty much the whole game. Colin was crushing me on his secondaries. He was just, I believe he got 40 out of 40 on it. So I could not kill a single. I think I killed 1 Dreadnought, and that is entirely because of bomb squigs. Just suiciding into it to soften it up with mortal wounds. But yeah, I was doing no damage to this army. Inceptors came down. They also obliterated me. This is the game. This was important because this was the game I learned that flash kits are an amazing defensive unit because they take up so much space. You can just sit them on your home objective, and then they just zone out your whole backfield, so people don't deep strike in there and take your home objective from you.
Now, Joe, what happens if someone is foolish enough to deep strike, let's say a callous assassin, within 24 inches and line of sight? What happens then, hypothetically?
Well,
obviously?
I believe those flash kits are going to get somewhere in the ballpark of 20 to 25 hits.
Yeah.
With roughly 15 to 18 wounds at damage 2. So
that's pretty. And you know, we've got some folks that are talking about the math. Let's say 15 wounds on a 4-up invuln. That is a dead callous assassin, is what math states. Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah. That's not experience or anything.
Here's what it all came down to at the end. I had 1 unit of pigs left and some grots hiding and cowering in ruins, trying not to be seen. This was the last turn. The screen is not up to date on the thing at the top, but this was the bottom of 5. I had 1. I was up by 8, and Colin drew Assassinate, which he had already killed all my characters, and Storm Hostile Objective. And then he does, so he just has to take this objective from me that the pigs are all on. And he does Oath of Moment on them. I'm like, okay. Moves the aggressors out, moves the Dreadnought in front of him, and then he starts counting out his aggressor dice. I'm like, oh, he's going for it. He starts rolling his aggressor dice. He gets like 56 hits, I think. Like, all right. And I can see what's happening. I'm like, he's just going to obliterate them, and then he's not going to be able to get on the objective. And that is exactly what happened. He got him. He got about 80% through the attack sequence, and then he just kind of stopped and said, I think I just lost this game.
Oh, no.
I was like, yep, I think that's what happened. And sure enough, those pigs, there was a pork roast, and they were gone. And that was it. 74 to 63.
Bravo, sir. Bravo.
Huge upset in the bracket.
Oh man, yeah. Can we talk about the brackets for a second? Wow, I don't like. There were so many big turns that just crushed. I'm sure the majority of the bracket. So well done, Joe. Well
Thanks.
done.
That was an uphill battle from right at the start, so it was great. Good game. Colin was an amazing opponent, and that was my first time ever playing on stream.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well done.
Not bad at all.
All right. JT versus Sisters. Ah, yes. The Castigators
Oh God, I hate them so much.
rear their ugly head.
Oh.
So this was on War Games Live. Do you know what day this was on?
This was, I want to say, Saturday night.
Okay, so this was late in the tournament.
This was Saturday, yeah. We were playing the Empowered Objective mission, where you need characters on objectives to jack them up. The problem is I only have 3, and my characters are squishy as heck. I have a Death Jester, I have an Archon, and I have a Homunculus. I'm like, I am so never getting to these objectives. The big turn, though, you can actually see at the bottom where that Ravager is. Eventually, he puts one of his transports over on that objective, and I made a charge. And that charge actually was too big and put me too far forward, and he was able to take his Nundums and heroically intervene. Because in 10th edition, of course, if you can base, you have to, right?
Yes.
So I rolled an 11 when I didn't need it. See, I can roll dice, but the good luck isn't good.
Your dice are working for your opponent.
My dice are working for me, and I was really just trying to keep the Triumph from getting position on the middle and hold them up in the middle as long as I could, because I knew that with the blocking terrain we had, that I could hang with them as long as possible. But no, I just couldn't get the primary to empower the objectives, unfortunately, and that was really what ended up costing me the game.
Oh wow! So, did you declare the Nundums as a charge target?
No, I didn't, because they were farther back. They were sort of in the bottom right. I don't know if you have another still of it that's a little farther along in the game. Yeah, there you go. So at this point, I figured I could throw my Archon out onto the objective and hopefully tank through it. But because he's placing his, I think it was the Retributors that he's dropping their Meltaguns are nasty. And I didn't want them hanging around, so I needed to kill them. The problem was I charged too far. And because his Nundums came on right about where Jesse's hands are there from reserve, when they heroically intervened, they were able to get to my Ravager, and that was kind of the end of it at that point. I can take those Nundums out if I have the guns, but just to sort of further the stories, this was when the Nundums retributed. I'm referring to Morbin Vol in her war suits, right? When they retributed, when they fired back, I had Scourges that tried to pop him and did nothing. And then he's shooting back at me with small arms fire, and my Scourges in cover, they're just dropping like flies. I hear Joe from War Games Live behind me, and his exact words were, "Jesus Christ." Because it's the second time he's watched me roll this horribly.
And Joe's pretty stone cold about
he is.
Like, he doesn't overreact or anything.
Really, Jesse ran away with this on primary, and I could never catch up to that. Sister's ability to bring stuff back, their version of Fate Dice, Miracle Dice are fantastic. I killed all of his forward threats and then pressed, but by that time he'd taken up residence on those center objectives, and I just couldn't get him back.
You didn't have any incubi in your list, right?
I know, because close combat is dead.
Wow, that is sad.
Well, the problem with Drukhari close combat is it's almost all T3. You have grotesques, but at 105 points for 3 models, they have a 2 damage weapon. They're toughness 5. They have no saving throw. Yes, they've got a 5-up ignore damage, but they're just not. They can't hang. They cannot stay on the board long enough to do any work. trying to maneuver my homunculus to get the anti-infantry precision into place. It's on a hammer and anvil board. It's arguably one of the worst deployments for Drukhari because your opponent can really go wide really quick, and that's exactly what you don't want them to do. You want to get behind them. You want to be sneaky. You want to get around the edges. You pull them into the middle almost, and then just eat around the outside edges. And unfortunately, Jesse's too good a player, and he just took those objectives right away, stomped on them, and made a statement, and I just could not kick him off it. It was such a fun game, though. My gosh, we had such a blast.
Yeah, Jesse was a total gentleman as well. The whole game I played against him, he very, very top-level sportsman.
Absolutely. And great taste in music, too.
Oh, right. Yeah. I'm assuming this is the end. So, what do you know? Do you remember what the final score was?
Too much to not enough.
Was this in the losers bracket?
This was, because I lost to Kas and then played Jesse in the losers bracket. I swear the red dice on War Games Live have it out for me. That's my theory, and I'm going to stick to it. They absolutely do. But you can see the mess that's at the bottom of the screen right there. And in that ruin that's in my bottom left, right next to my yellow and green dice, are the scourges that just evaporated. Absolutely evaporated, because I couldn't roll for anything, and I just couldn't hold on. I tried to push as long as I could, and this is the part that's silly. The Triumph of St. Catherine has got, 13 wounds, 18 wounds at a toughness 3?
A lot. Yep.
Yeah, my Talos couldn't chew through it. I had, at one point, I believe I had 4 Talos in the center of the board. Re-rolling, couldn't kill her.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, and that's not Jesse rolling well. That's just how poor they do into combat, because at strength 8, it really doesn't matter if I'm re-rolling and if I'm hitting you on 4s. If there was like a sweep option that they had, or some other kind of option that they could do, that would work. But I think at the final turn, I did take capture enemy outpost for a chunk of points to make it close. Like, I blipped my mandrakes out of the back corner, I think, onto his home objective, which is on the right side. But then they just got shot to death. But it was a very tight game, but he just took those center objectives, empowered them every turn, and ran away with a primary.
Wow. Were the Scourges with Dark Lances as well?
2 squads of Scourges with Dark Lances, and then my mandrakes, which we won't mispronounce that ever again.
You mispronounced mandrakes?
Yeah, I was really tired, and the wrong word. I don't know where the word came from. It was not a good word, and I immediately went, what the heck was that?
Yeah, we're not going to use.
We're not going to say that word.
Okay.
I was there.
I'm like,
yeah, it was a bad one.
And I had the look on my face of absolute horror, like, what did I just say?
Oh,
Which is so tired at that point. There was a lot of conversations that didn't make a lot of sense.
A lot of giggling too.
Yeah. Shout out to Jesse, though. I mean, he knew exactly what he had to do. He had Celestine on the top, the Triumph on the bottom, and that Dialogus was there to just sneak onto the objective if he had to, but he had more of involved. So he's scoring max primary just because he's holding the middle and forcing me to take it out, and I just didn't have the volume to do that.
Oh, are the chain flails on the Talos? Do they do extra attacks?
I think I get more attacks with the chain flails, but again, it's such low strength. The problem is you have no ability to deal with Terminators, any 3-wound model, aggressors, stuff that can really take a punch. 1 and 2 damage, there's just not enough to shoot through it. So you unfortunately with Talos, you have to have that glove, because you need to be able to at least threaten to take down Terminators, even if you don't want to get close to them. So the change to mortal wounds was actually, the devastating to not mortals was actually pretty hard, because Talos could hang as anti-infantry with that twin link haywire gun, because 6s were still devastating into infantry, and now they're not.
Do they not get to take 2 different melee weapons anymore?
No.
Oh.
No, because you can't use both melee weapons, right? So the twin link liquefier gun is the strength 4 flamer. That just makes sense. It just makes a ton of sense, because then they're a bigger threat. Then when they get into combat with infantry, they can start doing some work, because it's really their guns that you're after. I'm not sure what the fix is for them. Probably, some kind of detachment issue might help. But honestly, it's grotesques that just kind of got nerfed into the ground, and it's sad because I love them. I absolutely love the grotesques. They can't take a character; they're just basically on their own, and they're in that no man's land. That hopefully, crossing our fingers, we're going to see a new plastic kit for them because they aren't getting a lot of love right now. So
Yeah.
Wow, that grotesque kit is bad.
Oh, the dancing Bigfoot is horrible.
I just hear Thriller every time I see it.
Wow. Yeah, and they're probably my favorite unit in the Drukhari Codex. Last edition they were. I love me some grotesques.
Yeah, I do too. I have custom made ones. I mean, Pyramid Head is famous on our channel because he's just this wicked looking grotesque with a shock prow head and huge sword and handful of skulls. Who doesn't love that stuff, man?
Hilariously enough, while we were at Charity Hammer, I think it was the first night when we were at the hotel room, Silent Hill came on and we saw Pyramid Head, and it was very fitting. I mean, you didn't have Pyramid Head in your list, but
yeah, sadness.
It was
and that grotesque is a fine cast as well. So sad. Yeah,
it really is. Yeah. Wah, wah.
All right. Ironically, Jesse said the same thing about Sisters. Is they are no longer a melee faction; they're a shooting army now too.
And they shoot a ton, man. Good.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, we both found that out, didn't we?
Yes, we did. Wow, that was not cool. And I played Sisters almost exclusively for 9th edition, and that was awesome. I loved it. It was probably the funnest army I've ever played. But
yeah, identities are shifting army-wise. You know,
I like punching stuff in melee. I don't want to shoot from afar like a dirty coward.
Exactly.
Why not both?
All right, buddy, here we go. This is our last game of Charity Hammer.
Yeah.
The Battle of the Blue Armies.
It was a very violent way to go out.
Okay. Corner
So
deployments. Yeah.
Can I take first crack at this? So, I have played 2 games prior to this against orcs, like back to back, as mentioned, against Scott. I knew I was running out of juice, and it was the last game. And actually, to be fair, I wasn't scheduled to play Joe, but Joe needed an opponent, and I said, "Oh my God, you can't have come to the Pacific Northwest and we didn't play a game. Like, we're doing this." So me and my 2 brain cells left decided I wanted this to go fast, so I definitely deployed a lot more aggressively than I any right deploy. And on that note, I will give it to Joe. Tell you the rest of it.
Yes. The deployment line, as usual, is full of pork and ready to roll. Yeah, I got to go first, which is awesome because this is the shortest deployment zone by a considerable margin. So, yeah.
So, going down the line, watching Joe and I mean, it wasn't like he needed big dice, right? Like I realized he got first turn, and I'm looking at the game. I'm like, oh, mistakes have been made already. But just watching each one of those charges just connect.
The one
I knew I was in trouble.
The one on the upper left-hand corner, you had 5 infiltrators in that ruin?
And a Phobos librarian.
Yep, and I was like, all right, I need a 10-inch charge here, and got boxcars. So that was just icing on the cake. The real thing was in the middle with the aggressors just front and center. Yep. So got my beast boss in there with its giant hammer, some pigs. Did a little epic challenge to the apothecary because he has hurt my feelings enough this weekend. The 3 Space Marine games I played, I was like, "Hey, buddy."
I didn't get to be the one to teach you about him. I got to be the one that was on the receiving end of being yeeted into the sun.
And I'm glad you said that because we are getting a live feed from the official Best Overall Show satellite network. Orbiting Terra right now. Here we go.
Oh, that's amazing.
Oh my God. That is very accurate. That is accurate. Bravo, sir. Bravo.
Oh, that's so good.
I was laughing myself stupid making.
Oh my god. This is my favorite thing that's happened ever.
Yeah. So we'll be checking in on him periodically over the next couple months. See how he's doing.
God.
Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful, Joe. You're a beautiful man.
Yeah. So yeah, they died. Beast Boss died. I think I killed the apothecary and then wounded Calgar, right?
Yeah, wounded Calgar.
Yep.
And then the clapback was pretty reasonable. I will say.
100%. Yeah, I think I had one Squig Hog boy left, tailing out onto the objective, and he got swarmed by the now extremely angry aggressors. I think from this point on, I pretty much I did kill the infiltrators with the librarian in the corner, and I don't think I killed anything else for the rest of the game.
You slowly murdered that aggressor squad, but it took the course of the game.
I don't think it died though. I think it still had two or three guys
left,
up. The Victress guard died, and I think Calgar was still alive, right?
I think I honestly think it was just Calgar at the end, standing there screaming like a madman in the middle of the board.
Yeah, by turn 3, the aggression levels of this game had completely shifted to now I'm running away into the corners. we did our dirty ambush, killed the apothecary, and now we just run away for the rest of the game.
That was the win condition.
Yeah.
Send him to space.
Because I had so much junk left at that point just to sit on objectives and hide behind walls. But yeah. Did you do anything rude with the Whirlwind? Oh, you shot flash kits with it.
No, yeah, and I killed one flash kit per turn every time, because either I would roll really hot and do a bunch of wounds, and then you rolled really hot on the saves, and it was like, oh, there goes one. Yeah. Or I would just flub them, and then you flubbed your save, but it still only killed one. So literally one per turn is what it killed.
Yep. And then, as we discussed, there was a Calidus assassin who was very ballsy.
Yeah, and she learned that you do not deep strike anywhere in line of sight of a flash kit within 24 inches. You just don't do it, kids.
Yep.
Yeah, you just don't do it.
Scary.
Terrifying.
And then here's you mopping up the midfield, and then I'm just retreating into the corners for the rest of the game.
Yeah, because you mathematically at that point were so far ahead that there was no way I was catching up.
Yeah, there's very few things left at this point. I think this is the last round. We called it, and I have some orcs hiding in ruins, some goblins, and that's pretty much it.
So
no remaining threats. Up top corner here, Uriel Ventrisk deep strikes it, and then the flash kits charge him and then surround him, and he did have to make a desperate breakout attempt.
He did, and he made it.
Yeah. So
but then died shortly after that.
Yes.
As we said, it was a violent game.
Yeah, it actually ended up being quite a bit closer than it felt like all game.
Yeah, I think spiritually I was less than 75 points, so I'm glad I was able to kind of finagle my way to what looks to be almost a game.
And look, this is my point on tactical objectives. Look at this. After turn 3, I don't score anything for the rest of the game. It's terrible because I don't have anything left. So I don't know. Call me crazy. I like fixed.
Honestly, Joe, I think you're onto something. I have been looking at my list and thinking, how can I build fixed objectives into this? Because you're at the mercy of dice already, and being at the mercy of cards on top, it's a tough sell. But I gotta say, it was an absolute pleasure having you wog your way to victory in this game. It was so great to play you, and I get to be the one to officially give you the title of bluest overall. So
thank you, sir. Thank you. All right. Oh, here's a shot of the team.
Yep, Noah was definitely there in person for real.
Very dressed to kill as well.
Yeah, looking sharp, Mr. Badome. God dang.
And
Wow, you can
photo
see
bombs
how
as well.
tired everybody is. Oh my goodness.
Yes,
Yeah,
very much so.
we looked like that old PSA about smoking pot. Like we're all just deflated. Like, oh man, what a week! What a
Yeah.
weekend!
And that is, of course, the best overall trophy that you won.
Yep.
Which you showed earlier. All
I
right.
slept.
Any what's going on? What do we got on the agenda in the future here? Any big tournaments coming up?
Yes, actually, I bullied JT into coming with me.
You did.
Oh.
And I'm bringing Carnage.
Yes, you are. So I think JT, correct me if I'm wrong. So JT and I are going to what is currently the largest tournament in Western Canada, if I'm not mistaken.
It's close. Yeah, it's hopefully it will be by the time the dust settles, and then Wet Coast will take that title back. But Kippers Melee is October 13th, 14th, 15th, I believe, in Nanaimo, which is sort of halfway up Vancouver Island. And it is it's been going for what, 8 years now, 9 years,
something like that. Yeah, close
maybe even longer. It is also a qualifier, so that's a big deal. So if you're thinking about getting that last minute qualification in, folks, check out Kippers Melee. Totally worth going. It's going to be a ton of fun.
Yeah.
But it's got a bit of a decent crew that play. There's a lot of great players on the island and a lot of great players that are coming from the mainland. So I'm really excited to go. Cass absolutely bullied me in, and he might have flipped the competitive switch in my brain too. John Lennon helped that a little bit when I almost pulled it out with Drukari against him. But he was in control all the way. He knew where I knew it was going to end. I was just hoping beyond hope that he rolled like crap. But Kippers is huge. It's big. It's going to be fun.
Absolutely lovely venue too.
Oh,
Jen
yeah.
does a really good job with all that.
Tons of space too. Like you're not bumping butts with everybody, which is the best part about it. And of course, it's licensed, which is the second best part about the event.
So I'm going to tell you a quick anecdote about last year. So there's a lovely gentleman. There's a great.
Keep going. I just got to jump over for a second.
Sure. So there's a team on Vancouver Island known as the VC Thundercats. Excellent players, awesome guys. And a lovely gentleman by the name of Scott Darbison, fantastic player. Him and I racked up, and he's playing Knights, and this was obviously 9th edition, and I just messed up enough to leave a Victrix guard slightly in line of sight, and that was the only thing I had protecting Gilliman. Well, Scotty just promptly on his first turn, first shooting phase, kills the Victrix guard. And Gulliman is sitting right in the open. Uh-oh. and he like field breaker missiles through his Hinvon. And I, of course, rolled like a 1 to see if he stands back up. And I just said, put the clock on my time, Scott. And he puts it on my time. And I just walked over to the bar, speaking of it being licensed. And I just bought 2 beers. And I walked back to the table. And I downed one. And I downed the other. And then I said, okay. And we played a game, and I think I kept it closer than I had any business keeping it. It was still definitely a win for Scott, but I'll never forget that game. And he just loved my reaction of like, yeah, just put the time on me. I'll be right back.
I actually played Scott the year that I won the best overall at Kippers, which was I think the one before COVID. I played Scott round 1, and that was back in the days of, and that's actually when I played Colin. No, that wasn't Colin top table. It was a year after. Anyway, my deployment against Scott, we had that old pointy hammer anvil. Remember that one?
Yeah.
I had 1 Venom up at the point on the only piece of terrain because it was a bit of a planet bowling ball, and then everything else was in reserve. That was it. And I looked at it, and I had stuff way at the back, and Scott looks at my deployment, and he's like, what are you doing? I'm like, hiding from your guns? Like, what else am I going to do? We had a fantastic game. I actually ended up playing Colin. That's where Colin Sherman and I met, was at Kippers that year. He won it, and I took him to task on the final game. Matt still says I win that game. I'm bad at math. That was when Yanari could do double everything. It was ridiculous.
Oh, dark days.
Yeah. And then the next year, I won the best overall. I didn't win the generalship. I got tons of sports votes and everything else. I'm one of the best overall kippers. I still have my mug sitting beside me. That was a ton of fun. But Kippers is a great event. I really, really love it.
Great event. There's a golden ticket on the line. Come steal a golden ticket from a Canadian for my American friends.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's an open challenge.
Yeah, I think the tournament cost is about 100 Canadian, so that's like what, $12.50 American?
Yeah, it's practically. You're practically losing money if you.
I don't know the conversion rate is on loonies and toonies, but.
So, Joe, what about you? What's on the horizon for you?
I have a GT in a month called the Gemhammer GT in Dayton, Ohio. So, looks like it's sold out at 70 players, so that'll be a good time.
Nice. That is a good amount. So I take it you are going to vlog all over those battlefields and crack some skulls.
Hopefully, that's the game plan.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's a good one.
And I have no idea what Noah's up to, but he can talk about that next show. Let's do some shout outs. Aegis Games, Noah's store in Bellingham, Washington. Check them out if you are in the northern Washington area, which I just went to for the first time.
Absolutely amazing store. The staff there are so great, and just check them out if you're local. They're kind of the closest across the border store for me, and I'll often go for RTTs and whatnot. They do a lot of events for a lot of different game systems too. I have a bunch of my Malifaux friends that go and play there as well. So check them out if you're into anything nerdy. Aegis has got you.
All right, JT.
Hey, that's me. Play on Tabletop. We do curated battle reports. 40K in 40 minutes is our flagship. You might recognize the voice when I say things like, "Oh, what is Tycho thinking there?" Please follow us, check us out, share us. We love 40K. In fact, that's what I was doing right before this. Was we were recording another game, and it's Play on Tabletop. We've been doing this 3-4 years now, and we want to inspire people to play. We want to show the best side of the game that we possibly can, and that's our goal. So make sure to check us out. Got some cool model porn coming up that you're going to love because I can't say it, but you're going to love it. So check us out on Instagram for sure, and then follow us on YouTube.
Very good. And then there is a super major in Fort Wayne, Indiana in November that my buddy is running called the Rumble on the Rivers. And this is going to be, I think, 256 players. So, yeah, this will be a Death or Glory event. So definitely, I think, November 10th and 12th, they'll have the GT or the main tournament. And then I believe there's also a doubles tournament on Sunday and 3-round RTT on Sunday if you
amazing.
Yeah.
I love a good doubles tournament. They do not happen enough. They're so fun. It's like one of my favorite things about LVO is the long war doubles. Also, just Kyle pointed out, there's a store championship at Aegis Games on October 1st. So if you're local or local adjacent, consider checking it out.
All right. Any parting thoughts?
Just wanted to say once again, thank you everyone for supporting Charity Hammer. I feel so lucky that I was invited to come out the first time. I feel so blessed to have played all those amazing games with all those amazing people. Both of you, not excluded, obviously. Just again, thank you everyone for all the support. Much appreciated.
Yes.
Sorry, Joe, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, just thank you both for having me on. I really appreciate it. Opportunity to talk about the Charity Hammer experience. You're both wonderful human beings in person. So just as cool as you guys think they are on the podcast, they are even more so when you meet these two. You inspired me to finish my orcs, Joe. I'm going to do it. I'm going to finish that M3 Lee. I'm going to finish the battle wagon. It's behind me way over there. I'd go grab it, but I got the down and dirty rust to make it look all nice and orky. So that might be on the table coming soon, but who knows? I have so many projects up in the air. I'm probably never going to play them, but at least I'll get it painted. And that's what matters. But absolutely. You guys are fantastic. And thank you so much for having me on. And thank you everybody for supporting Charity Hammer. And thank everybody because I'm just in that kind of mood.
Thanks, brother.
All right. Well, we'll see you guys in 2 weeks, and thank you for watching. Have a good
Take
night.
care, everyone.